Hello, this is Julia from Avatar Academy, and today I want to talk to you about something very specific that many English learners experience but rarely talk about openly. Why is it that you can understand English, answer questions correctly, and even explain ideas, but when it comes to joking, being relaxed, or showing your real personality, everything suddenly disappears? You sound serious, careful, and distant, even though that is not who you really are. And over time, this creates frustration because you feel like you are speaking English, but you are not being yourself. Many learners think this problem means they are not advanced enough. But the truth is, this issue has very little to do with grammar or vocabulary size. It is much more connected to how the brain works under pressure, how emotions affect language, and how we learn to protect ourselves when we feel uncertain. When you speak your native language, humor and personality come naturally because your brain is not busy checking every word. You are free. But in English, your brain switches into survival mode. It focuses on accuracy, not expression. The goal becomes don't make a mistake, not be myself. When you try to joke in English, you are doing something risky. Humor depends on timing, tone, cultural understanding, and confidence. Even native speakers sometimes fail at jokes. So for a learner, the brain often decides that it is safer to stay neutral. Neutral language feels controlled, safe, predictable. You choose simple sentences, familiar structures, and common expressions. You speak correctly, but not creatively. Over time, this creates a version of you that sounds flat, serious, and emotionally distant, even if you are very expressive in real life. Another important reason is that personality language is not usually taught in textbooks. Most learning materials focus on functional communication, ordering food, answering questions, explaining opinions, agreeing or disagreeing politely. These are useful skills, but they do not teach you how to tease someone lightly, how to react playfully, or how to show irony or sarcasm. So even if your English is good, your exposure to emotional and social language is limited, and the brain can only use what it has seen many times before. There is also the fear of misunderstanding. When you joke in your own language, you trust that people will understand your intention, even if the joke is not perfect. In English, that trust disappears. Many learners worry, what if they take it seriously? What if they get offended? What if they don't laugh? This fear makes you hold back parts of your personality. You choose clarity over color, safety over expression, and slowly you start believing that English is a language where you must be careful, not natural. Research in second language psychology shows that emotions directly affect access to language. When you feel tense or self-aware, the brain reduces access to flexible language. You rely more on memorized phrases and less on spontaneous expression. This is why many learners feel blocked emotionally in English, even when they know what they want to say. The words are there, but the emotional connection is missing, and humor lives exactly in that emotional space. Another key factor is identity. When you speak English, you are not only using a new language, you are temporarily using a new version of yourself, and that version feels unfamiliar. You may sound more formal, quieter, or less confident. This can feel uncomfortable, so the brain tries to minimize exposure by keeping interactions short and controlled. Over time, you may even stop trying to express your personality because it feels unnatural. But this does not mean you lack ability. It means your English identity is still developing. The important thing to understand is that personality in a new language does not appear automatically. It must be trained, just like grammar or pronunciation. You do not unlock humor by reaching a certain level. You unlock it by repeated exposure to real conversations, by noticing how people react emotionally, and by allowing yourself to sound imperfect. Humor and personality come from patterns, not from rules. One common mistake learners make is waiting to feel confident before expressing themselves. But confidence does not come first. Expression comes first. Confidence follows. Native speakers were not confident jokers from day one. They learned what works and what doesn't through experience. As a learner, you need to give yourself permission to experiment. Some jokes will fail. Some reactions will feel awkward. That is not failure. That is training. Another important point is that personality does not mean being funny all the time. It means being natural. Sometimes it means reacting honestly. Sometimes it means showing emotion. Sometimes it means using simple expressions with the right tone. Many learners think they need advanced vocabulary to sound interesting, but in reality, tone and timing matter much more. A simple sentence said naturally is often more powerful than a complex sentence said carefully. If you want to express your personality in English, you need to change the goal of your speaking. Instead of asking, "Is this correct?" start asking, "Does this sound like me?" This shift is uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary. Language is not only a tool for information, it is a tool for connection, and connection requires risk. Over time, as you expose yourself to more natural input, real conversations, podcasts, informal interviews, you will start noticing patterns of humor, reaction, and emotion. Your brain will slowly build a new emotional map for English, and one day you will realize that you laughed, reacted, or joked without planning it. That is the moment when English starts to feel less like a test and more like a space where you can exist. If you are listening to this and thinking, "This explains exactly how I feel," then you are not behind. You are exactly where many B1 to B2 learners are. This stage is not about learning more rules. It is about letting go of control, little by little, and allowing your personality to enter the language. And that process takes time, exposure, and patience with yourself. Before we finish, I want to remind you that you are not losing your personality when you speak English. You are simply building a new version of it, and that version needs space to grow. If you want to practice this more deeply, you will find a worksheet for this episode in our Telegram group with reflection questions and practical exercises to help you express yourself more naturally. You will also find the Instagram link in the description for daily content that supports your learning journey. This was Julia from Avatar Academy. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.